This is the Rumor Report.
Call out a name or you gossiping or you chatty patty.
Sometimes you say stuff and it's just gonna get you in trouble.
On The Breakfast Club.
Whatever. She don't know my business. I know hers. All right, so like I was saying, you guys were in the headlines all weekend, and it's only right if I'm doing the Rumor Report that we talk about this story. It's the top story. It's trending right now. So anyway, you guys, your former host, co-host Angela Yee was on Tamron Hall show. All right, that's not an easy show to be on. She was sitting up there and she got grilled. And they talked about, Tamron asked her about being the lone woman on the show. Basically, her being the only female representation on this show. Anyway, here's the audio so y'all can hear again what she said.
We're all individuals, but sometimes it's hard for people to separate that.
I want to go back to the woman part of it because you did hit on something. Because you were the lone woman on this show with a lot of bravado, with a lot of edge, disruptive, and that's why millions of people love the show. It seemed to me that people were always riding you.
Yeah, and I was the only woman who worked there too. I mean, when it came to producers, camera people, and it wasn't an easy room for me to be in.
I didn't know that. Did you find yourself fighting for respect from the co-host, who I know respect you? But when you're the only woman in the room, and which blew me away just now, you're saying even in the production part of it.
Yeah.
You're there.
It was a lot.
Cap!
Okay, so, let me say this. From the moment I got here today, my experience has not been that there's no women. I've only seen women. It's like I seen y'all sitting here right now, but the
Are you calling us women? No,
a little bit, you're a little. But no, I've seen a lot of women here. I don't know what her experiences was back then, but I've seen a lot of women. What do y'all say about this? What she had to say?
Well, I will say this. What she said wasn't true. I can't tell her how she can feel about being on the show. Because on the show, yeah, she's correct. It's me, Charlamagne, and herself. So, yeah, she was the only woman in the room. But when it came to producers, there were so many different women that worked up here and that continue to work up here. So I didn't like that, the way that they put that the Breakfast Club doesn't have women here or doesn't respect women's views, because that's not true. I mean, Taylor's been here for, how long has Taylor been here? 6-7 years. She's been a producer here for 6-7 years. Who's the person that actually cuts all these clips? She's cut these clips today. She's cut them for years. She's cut them for years. Sasha
Taylor to her. That new intro was fire today.
Sasha was here before Taylor. There's a bunch of women that's been working here. I did speak to Yee last night. Me and Yee got on the phone last night, and she understood what I was saying when she said that she meant in the room, meaning the people that actually worked in the room. But that's not what that clip said, and that's not how it went out. And that's what I was upset about, because there's other people that worked here that do a lot for the show.
Yeah.
The first person you talk to every morning is who?
Right.
Samantha.
Yeah, it was a woman.
Sydney, who's here right now, is does digital. There's women that work here and continue to work here that continue to push me and Charlamagne to the next level. And I just took it as I didn't want to diminish that. And Charlamagne and I always talk about how important having women in our lives, especially black women in our lives. Charlamagne talks about his wife is the CEO of his house. I talk about my wife is the CEO of my house. So I just took that as a way. But we spoke yesterday, and she's gonna I guess clear it up on her show today of what she meant. But I just didn't want to diminish or take away from what these strong black women do for our show.
Yeah.
That's my point.
I agree. Shara, what you gonna say? What you want to say?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay. Well, let me say something else.
Okay.
So I've been on a TV show, worked with radio hosts. Most of them were men. We had Brad, beautiful woman, on the show as well. What I took from what Angela was saying was that on the radio, when the mics turn on, she's the only female in the room of you men.
That's facts.
Okay, facts. But the other part is where I would have taken offense if I were you guys, is for her to say that she didn't have anybody who she could go to as support. Because yes, at the end of the day, whatever you all used to say on these mics, you're responsible for it regardless.
Correct.
Individually, whether it's a woman in a room who felt like she should have had her back or not, either way, she has to take responsibility for what she has said and not said in any moment on the show.
Right.
But for her to say that there were no women, of course I know she didn't mean literally no women. You took it like that because you were pissed off. But she didn't mean literally no women on the show. What she meant was she didn't feel support. What I have felt since I've been here and from the black women who I've seen here was nothing but support. Each story that I've been given is said, if you want to mention this, if you want to talk about that, do you feel comfortable with this? And I don't think that that's something new, but I think that when we talk about women being in the room, powerful women have a seat at the table. You have to talk about what that means to the people in the front.
Right.
The people in the front, those are our back people. Those are people who hold us up. So I think that's where she let down the entire Breakfast Club. And that's where if she probably had a chance instead of talking to Tamron, she would have been able to expound on that. But when you have someone like a Tamron talking to you and she's giving you accolades and she's, raising you up to do nothing but set you up to say something that's going to be catchy and she can look like a journalist, then that's where you find Angela in this place, trending for the wrong thing.
What you said just now is interesting, Portia, because I feel like Tamron Hall and her producers got together at some point and said, look, Wendy Williams is leaving, so somebody on daytime TV has to be messy. Because it feels like Tamron has been being messy on that show lately. Is it just me?
Hidden mess.
Okay.
It's a hidden mess. I went on Tamron's show and I was so excited. Okay, I mean, she's a beautiful black woman. She's, branched off, got her own show.
Absolutely.
I did not necessarily feel supported on her show.
Really?
Did I expect her to agree with everything? I was promoting my book, The Pursuit of Portia. I didn't expect her to agree with everything. But there was a turn where it turned from just her asking questions about the book to her kind of almost attacking me, almost making me feel like I had to justify anything that I had going on, and it just didn't feel good.
Right.
Did you feel that way too, Envy?
Did you feel?
Yeah. Me and my wife went on there, and it was a situation. If you picked up my book, I talk about my life and how I was, and the reason we wrote this book is to try to help other brothers and help other couples.
Right.
And I talk about how insecure I was as a young person. Me and my wife been together since 15 and 16, and how I was, and how I treated her, and how I changed, how I didn't know. And I think there was an incident that happened with her sister, and she was like, well, my sister was this and my sister was that. And it got to the point where I couldn't come back to that. But thank God my wife was there, and my wife was like, no, what happened with your sister and our relationship is totally different.
Right.
My husband has never threatened me with a gun or tried to kill me or any of those things. I can't remember, but of course they took that out. But I felt that too. But I will say this. Shout out to Thea Mitchum, who is our boss, who is a black woman. Yesterday, she got me and Angela on the phone, and we got a chance to have that conversation. And I'm glad we did. And hopefully they could, she'll say, what she wants and clear it up a little bit, because there's a lot of women that feel funny that work up here because they feel like, they were looked over.
Right.
So, and she said, yeah, she agrees. So she's going to talk about that today on her show.
Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I've always felt undervalued here as a woman.
Are we now changing your identity?
Yes.
Oh.
So now you identify as what?
Yes.
A yes?
Yes.
Oh, he added a couple S's. He is definitely a woman now. Say yes.
Identifying as a yes. Yes.
All right.
Now I feel supported. There's another woman on the mic. Charlamagne. Welcome.
Who you giving your donkey to, Charlamagne?
For after the hour, let's talk to a man who should have been told no 7 times, okay? It's a man out there with 7 kids and 7 baby mamas, and he said it's all the baby mama's fault. We'll discuss.
All right, we'll get into that next.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.